Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel Study with Sima. Today we will be learning about plant tissues. So before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's move on with the video. So first, let's start by understanding what are tissues. So do you have any clue what are tissues? If no, let me tell you. A tissue is an organizational level between the cell and the organ. It is an ensemble of cells, not really identical, but having the same origin and performing the same function. Histopathology. Histopathology is the study of diseases that occur in the tissues, and histology is the study of tissues. So let's move on with our next topic, which are the types of plant tissues. Now let's see the types of plant tissues. So plant tissues are further divided into two parts, mystomatic tissues and permanent tissues, about which we are going to be learning in the ahead video. Now mystomatic tissues are further divided into three parts, apical meristem, lateral meristem, and intercalary meristem. And this is the same with permanent tissues. They are also divided into three parts, vascular tissues, fundamental tissues, and dermal tissues. So let's see what each and every of these mean. Now let's see the meaning of mystomatic and permanent tissues. So mystomatic tissues are made up of cells that actively divide. In fact, that is their only function. They divide and increase the length and girth of the plant. They are divided into three subcategories depending on the location. Now, let's move on with the permanent tissues. The permanent tissues, on the other hand, form the bulk of the plant and perform specific functions. They do not divide. In fact, when the meristematic tissues grow and mature, they lose the ability to divide and become permanent tissues. There are three main subtypes of permanent tissues on the basis of their functions. So first, let's see the subtypes of mystomatic tissues. Now, if you know that mystomatic tissues subtypes are called as meristems. Now, these are the three meristems, apical, intercalary, and lateral. So let's see the meanings and the functions of each of the following. Apical meristem. The meristem that occurs at the apices of the root, stem, and leaves is known as apical meristem. It comprises either a single apical cell or group of apical cells. The activity of this meristem results in longitudinal growth, which is the height of the plant. Now let's see intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem is placed between two permanent tissues. Actually, it is a part of the apical meristem which gets separated from the apex during growth. Such meristems are found in monocot stems, leaves, sheaths, and between nodes and internodes. They help in increasing the length of the organs. Lateral meristem. The meristem occurs laterally on roots and stems is called lateral meristem. The cocambium and the fascicular cambium are examples of lateral meristem. These tissues lead to increase the thickness. Now let's see a diagram related to the meristems. Now this is a diagram where you can see where the apical meristem, the intercalary meristem, and the lateral meristem. So you can refer to this diagram and make it in your notebook. Now let's see the permanent tissues. Now first let's start with the fundamental permanent tissues. Now, the fundamental permanent tissues are divided into three parts: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Now, fundamental tissues are the tissues which provide support to the plant. They are also called simple tissues because they are made up of the same type of cells throughout the tissue. There are three main types of fundamental tissues, just like I told you. Now, let's see the meaning of each and every one along with their functions. Let's learn about parenchyma first. In parenchymatous tissue, all cells are isometric and thin-walled. The cells may be oval, circular, or polygonal, with intercellular spaces. They are living. This tissue is present in all organs of the plant, such as roots, stems, leaves, flowers, fruit, and seeds. The function. The main function of this tissue is storage of food. In fleshy stems, parenchymatous cells function as water storage tissue. Example, Parenchyma. In hydrophytes like lotus, large air cavities are formed in between cells of these tissues, which are filled with air. These types of parenchymatous tissues are called parenchyma. The plant become beyond beyond due to the presence of parenchyma, and also gaseous exchange is facilitated. Sometimes parenchymatous cells develop chloroplasts. Such parenchyma is called chlorenchyma, and such cells participate in photosynthesis. Now let's see our next fundamental tissue, which is collenchyma. Collenchymatous cells are longer than parenchymatous cells. They are living. The intercellular spaces in this tissue are absent because within the intercellular spaces of cells, thickenings of cellulose and pectin develop, due to which the cell wall becomes rigid and thick at the corners. Sometimes collenchyma develops chloroplasts. They are found in leaf stalks below the epidermis in stems. Its functions: it provides mechanical support to the organs, and due to its peripheral position in stems and leaves, it resists bending and pulling action of wind and provides flexibility. When chloroplasts are present, it takes part in photosynthesis. Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma cells are strong, thick cells. They have extremely thick cell walls and do not participate in many of the other activities of the developing plant, such as photosynthesis, because their focus is strictly on support and structure. When sclerenchyma cells are fully mature, they die. Once they are dead, they simply maintain the structure of the plant and do not require further maintenance, freeing the plant to concentrate on other areas while having the support and strength it needs. Their cell walls are evenly thickened with lignin. They have no protoplasm and intercellular spaces are absent. They are found in the stems, leaves, and hard coverings of fruits and seeds. Their functions: to provide mechanical support and strength, to withstand compressive and tensile stress that is applied on the plant by various external factors. Now let's see our conducting tissues. Now, conducting tissues are also called as vascular tissues. Now, vascular tissues are further divided into two parts: xylem and phloem. So first, let's read about xylem. Xylem is usually found deep in the plant. It conducts water or sap. In older plants, xylem often constitutes the bulk of the plant body. The conducting cells are dead. Xylem is made up of three types of dead cells: vessels, trichoids, and xylem fibers or xylem sclerenchyma. There is one type of living cell, xylem parenchyma. The conducting cells have thickening of lignin on the wall. Xylem also provides mechanical strength to the plant. The movement of water within the xylem is unidirectional, which means one way. Xylem transports water and soluble mineral nutrients from roots to various parts of the plant. It is responsible for replacing water lost through transpiration and photosynthesis. Now let's read about phloem. Phloem is generally situated towards the outer side of the plant. It conducts organic food. Phloem always forms a small part of the plant body. The conducting cells are always living. Phloem contains only one type of dead cells, phloem fibers or phloem sclerenchyma. There are three types of living cells: sieve tube cells, companion cells, and phloem parenchyma. Phloem has no mechanical function. Movement within the phloem is bidirectional, which means that it moves up and down the plant stem. Phloem translocates sugar or organic food made by photosynthetic areas of plants to various parts of the plant body and to storage organs like roots, tubers, or bulbs. So let's move on to dermal tissues. Dermal tissues. Now, what are dermal tissues? We all know that we have an external layer of skin that covers our body and protects our body in various ways. Similarly, even plant bodies have a thin protective layer of dermal tissue on them. Like our own skin, the dermal layer of a plant is its first line of defense. It protects against damage to the plant itself. In addition, the epidermal cells of the plant are closely packed together and create an effective barrier against potentially harm intruders like fungi. Dermal tissue is found covering the younger primary parts of a plant. These include leaves, roots, stems, flowers, fruits, and seeds. The plant parts that become woody no longer have dermal tissue as their outer layer becomes replaced by periderm or cork. The epidermis is a very thin layer. It consists of only one layer of cells. It is mainly composed of flattened epidermal cells, and some cells are specialized for specific functions like it forms a boundary between the plant and the external environment. The epidermis serves several functions such as it protects against water loss, it regulates gas exchange, it secretes metabolic compounds, it absorbs water and mineral nutrients, especially in roots. Now, on leaves, we find a waxy coating secreted by the epidermal cells, which is called the cuticle. The epidermal cells on the young stems and leaves are covered with pores. Now, what are the pores called? Yes, the pores are called stomata. Stomata is protected by guard cells. Tracheostomes are hairy outgrowths of the epidermal layer. Their presence varies in texture and number from species to species. These outgrowths save the plant from herbivorous animals and have functions similar to the hair present on our body. Generally, a dense covering of woolly tracheostomes controls the rate of transpiration. They reduce the heating effect of sunlight, control the rate of transpiration, and save them from being eaten by animals. They also insulate the plants and save them from excess heat or cold. Now let me show you the diagrams of collenchyma and parenchyma. Now this is the diagram of collenchyma. Now as you can see, the filled part, which is this, is nucleus, and these thin lines are called the cell wall, and the substance present here is called the cytoplasm. Now let's see parenchyma. Now this is the diagram of parenchyma. Now parenchyma also has intercellular air spaces called the erenchyma. So this is like the diagram is like this. Now this is diagram as its cross picture. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, share, and smash the like button before you leave. I'll see you next time.